So you do all of the front end work to get your digital marketing agency up and running. You build a website, you start running ads, you do cold outreach, you do everything to get leads coming in so that way you can potentially sell them on a recurring service program. But the problem is that you will encounter leads that won't actually show up for your sales call. So what do you do about it? Hey there, my name is Matt Wacek. I am the CEO and founder of Landscape Marketing Pros. We're a digital marketing agency currently doing about $26,000 in monthly recurring revenue. And unlike most of the fake gurus that you're going to see sharing content, showing off numbers, this is what my agency actually produces, the business model that I'm discussing in this particular video, as opposed to what many of these clowns are doing where they're showing you course sales or affiliate offers or revenue from completely unrelated sources to what the actual discussion of the content is. And when you come to my channel, you can expect transparency because I fell for a lot of the crap that was out there over the past few years. And that's one of the things that slowed me down when it came to building this business, even to the point that it's at now. And so what we're going to get into in this video is what to do when this happens, because it's not an if-when situation. It's pretty much going to happen at some point, no matter what, regardless of your company's authority in the industry. I mean, it happened to my company here just twice this week, and we're a relatively established name. And the second part is, what can we do to actually prevent no-shows from happening, at least to the maximum degree that we possibly can? There's still, of course, going to be those prospects that don't show up to the sales call for the program that they're interested in, what's going to help them with their business. But briefly, before we begin, so many of you have been asking in my Instagram DMs, as well as our Facebook group here in the comment section on YouTube, when am I going to release some type of formal training for how I built my digital marketing agency to multiple six figures that's very profitable and sustainable and has predictable recurring revenue that comes in every single month, and how I continue to scale it. The wait for that is almost over, but what I encourage you to do in the meantime, if you have any interest in learning how I've been able to do what I've done with my business and how you can replicate similar, the first link in the description, as well as the pinned comment, there's going to be a link to join our VIP enrollment list. And when you click that link, you're going to go to a page that looks just like this. You want to go there, enter your name and email. That's going to add you to the VIP enrollment list. And so the reason that you want to do this is because I'll be opening up enrollment and announcing things to the list first before putting it here on YouTube, social media, and so forth. And what that's going to allow you to do is get access to specific bonuses such as lifetime access, private Q&A coaching, agency sales calls, play-by-play, and just a whole lot more. And they're only going to be available to the very first few people that enroll. And once they're gone, they are gone. So you're going to want to jump onto the VIP enrollment list, first link in the description and the pinned comment down below. But anyways, let's get into what happens when a prospect no-shows to your sales call. So I know how exciting it is to see a booking for a sales call on your calendar. When I was first getting this started, and it basically took 3 years to become profitable and really have a good system in place. So during those times, that was basically just a drought with making very little money. When I finally started seeing call bookings come in, I'd get very, very excited. And the problem with that is when you get excited, you start getting attached and you start doing future projections of what it'll be like working with this client for 6-12 months and how much more money you're going to be able to make, how much you're going to be able to help their business grow, and all those sorts of things. And the first thing to do when these call bookings come in and they're onto your calendar, don't get attached to them at all. Not at all, because nothing's happened yet. Their money has not exchanged hands and an agreement has not been signed. So don't even just look at it at the calendar, make sure you're going to show up and you have your schedule and all that set up, and then just show up for the call. Don't even think about it otherwise. Obviously, you need to have a sales script and all those sorts of things going into it, but don't get attached to it. Don't even think about what it could be like working with this person. When a prospect books onto my calendar and I'm going to be conducting the sales conversation with them, I barely even look at their website. I'll go to it briefly to see, okay, was it built with Wix? Was it built by another agency? And then that's pretty much it. And that's because I've learned over the years that there are some that are not going to show up, and there are deals that are not going to be closed. Even if you're really good at sales, there are prospects that are just not in enough pain to make that decision to purchase our service program. Why would I waste time thinking about and getting attached to this lead when nothing may happen? So that's the first part. Do not get attached to leads that come in and just look at them just as that. They're effectively a number on a screen. I know that sounds crazy to think about. That's just kind of how it is. They're just numbers that come in until they decide to purchase, and then they're a client, of course. Make sure we provide a great experience for them. And so the day of the sales call finally arrives. You're excited. You're maybe dressed up. You got your camera working. You have your microphone, everything good to go. And you're sitting there in the Zoom meeting room and nobody's showing up. There is no notification to admit someone from the waiting room into the meeting. And you're just sitting there. So what do you do? What I do in this situation is I will wait 5 minutes. That's it. Because there's really no excuse in today's day and age for someone to not show up for a meeting. And each of those different notifications between email and text message are sent out at different intervals. So that way they never miss out on knowing when this event is and when they need to show up. The link to join is always right there in the email. And there's frankly no excuse for them not to show up, again, if they have interest. And for those of you getting started, you might be thinking, man, 5 minutes, that's all you give them and then you're out. Absolutely. And so what I'll usually go do is I will go and cancel within Calendly after that 5 minutes is up, and I will say no show as the notes, and they'll get that in their notification with their email, because they'll get at least one email saying, hey, your stuff was canceled, here's the reason why. And unless they reach out and say, hey, sorry, I couldn't make it to our meeting today, one of my guys called in sick, so I had to be out with the crew working in the field that day, or if I had something happen family related, unless they do something like that, we'll cancel any future calls with us because they didn't respect our time enough to show up for the scheduled time. Because unless there's something like that occurred, there's no excuse not to show up. There are 8 different notifications that go out between the 2 that get sent when they book, and then there are the 6 that go at different intervals within 24 hours of the actual meeting. And so why do I carry myself with this attitude? And you're probably thinking, well, why are you talking about this stuff? This shift that I had when I realized the value that we bring to the table with our service program because of the results, the testimonial videos, the case studies, everything that we have the value in this situation, and they want access to this system that we have because it's going to help them grow their business. And so we need to act as such and carry ourselves in this manner. And I would encourage you to do the same with your agency if you have the testimonials and the results to back up what it is that you are doing. If you're someone that's just getting started, you have to earn the ability to have this, because if you come out the gate with this, it'll probably work a little bit. But if you don't have the results testimonials, you're not going to be fully confident in your ability to deliver the results because you haven't done it yet before. Essentially, you got to put in the work. And for me, it took 4 or 5 years to get that going. And if you watch stuff on my channel, you could probably do it in less than 6 months if you stayed focused. The other reason for this is that I respect my time, and in the future, any sales staff that I have, I want their time to be respected too. I have no time for someone who doesn't respect my time, because I have a business to run here. I have a personal brand that I'm building, my own social life and life that I want to live. I have no time to waste chasing leads that have no interest in what it is that we are doing over here. So might sound crazy and different, but this is how you have to carry yourself in order to build a business that prospects and clients are going to respect what it is that you're doing. Okay, so what are some ways that we can prevent no-shows from happening? So the very first part is, if you saw my sales funnel video a couple months back, I explained that after they book, they're directed to a thank you page, and there are going to be lists of things of what to expect, what to bring to the call, and also make sure to note that, hey, there are no reschedules allowed unless something crazy comes up. So make sure to note that on that particular page. But the very first part, though, is that making sure that you have sales call booking only. There's no contact form, there's no phone calls where they leave a voicemail, and then you're following up, wasting time with this, sending emails, playing email tag all back and forth. They're asking all kinds of different questions. No, they either fall into the frame of how we do things, or they can go elsewhere, because there's an abundance of leads out there. It's absolutely insane how many businesses, even within one specific niche, that you have the opportunity to work with. With a sales call that has a specific questionnaire, which I'll get into here in a minute, that way we are only working with higher interest leads that have interest. They see the value in what we provide, and they have interest in purchasing our service program because they're having to invest a fair amount of effort into actually speaking with us. And that's the number one reason why we do that, instead of these phone calls randomly that could come in and all that sort of stuff. We want them to have to answer questions and show up to a specific time, because the likelihood that they're going to close because they have this much invested into it already without even them realizing it, but versus the prospect that just filled out your online form asking the basic name information and how can we help type of contact form. And so the next thing that you can do to prevent no-shows from happening, or at least maximize the reduction of them, is having a questionnaire where you have a few different small micro commitments that they have to basically say yes to. It just encourages them, of course, to show up, but then also say yes to purchasing when the time comes during the close of your call, and the revenue parameters of having restrictions of what types of companies that you work with. But if you're just getting started, you're gonna have to kind of work with whatever you can get. And that might be someone that is a startup business that only did 50 grand last year, something like that. And so if we jump over to my agency's call booking setup, you can see actually we have a couple of disclaimers here. We hit them with some scarcity as well, because this is factual. I mean, we have waiting lists in multiple areas of the country because we sign clients, and then literally 2 weeks later, we've had prospects reach out or actually book a call, and we have to cancel because we just signed a client for that location. And we usually just add them to a wait list, which will usually, in most cases, never open up. But just the way that it is. And while that's a bummer for them, that's how we do things with service area exclusivity for our clients. What we have for our prospects to answer is, of course, the basic name, company name, website, that sort of stuff, services. The first thing that we do for a qualifier is ask them their revenue. And you notice down here, of course, less than 200K, we don't work with them. And so one of the biggest things that I've noticed when I see how serious a lead is when they book the call is what the problem is that they're experiencing in their business. So some of the ones that didn't show up wrote things like, we're not organized, we don't know how to execute our marketing, this sort of stuff. And it wasn't anything in terms of like a dire need for more leads, more clients, more sales. And so that's when I knew that these were not going to be leads that are going to show up to the call. And so what you want to do in this situation is frankly just cancel it and just say, hey, it doesn't sound like we're going to be a good fit to work together at this time. And maybe they can come back in the future when they have a problem where they want more leads. And so that is how I handle when a no-show occurs, because regardless of your company, it's going to happen. Even if you are the biggest marketing agency that has the most results and everything, there's still going to be those leads that don't show up. But also how I minimize the chance of it happening by making sure we're screening out leads and we're basically canceling leads that aren't going to be a good fit or unqualified to even talk with us, because again, our time is very limited. We don't have 15 hours in a day to be talking to unqualified leads in the least bit. And we don't even have 2 hours in a day to be doing that. And frankly, bottom line, this entire conversation or this discussion here comes down to, I would way rather have 6 to 7 strategy sessions in a month and close 3 of them at $1,750, $2,000 a month, than close 5 of them or 6 of them and have had to talk to 20, 25, or 30 prospects over that same timeline. Because that's 20, 30, 40 hours potentially invested into all that. And a lot of that went nowhere. And yeah, if I have a salesperson, I mean, it might be different because we want to keep them busy, keep them active and getting them better at sales. But if it's me as an owner that's doing the sales and you as well watching this, you have to protect your time at all costs, especially once you start growing and scaling. That extra 25 hours that you wasted talking to those leads that just didn't have the budget, they didn't have the interest level, or whatever the case may be, you could have spent that on fulfillment, making sure existing clients are all taken care of, talking with your existing clients with check-in calls, or maybe even getting off your computer and going outside and enjoying a hobby or spending time with your friends and family. I would way rather have a restriction on access of who gets to actually speak with me regarding our service program. So that way I can focus on making sure everything is streamlined within this business. I can do the things over here in my personal brand, have time for that, and partake in a social life and enjoy hobbies and so forth. And I would encourage you to do the same as well. But again, you're going to have to put in the work. It might take 6 months or a year to very low or possibly free, like I did, to get the testimonials, the results, and the case studies that you can show off, and then eventually frame your company as such. So that is the rundown of how I handle things when it comes to no-shows, and then how I maximize the prevention of them. Obviously, there's still going to be some that we'll squeeze through, like the 2 that happened this week. But of course, we try to minimize that as much as possible. So what I encourage you to do is, if you're looking to get more training on how to build a digital marketing agency, like what I've done with my company, Landscape Marketing Pros, go down below, hit that first link in the description or the pinned comment to join the VIP enrollment list, because once those bonuses go to the first few founding members that enroll, those bonuses are going to be gone for good. So you want to be one of the first ones to enroll when things open up. And if you're watching this a month or 6 months or maybe even a year in the future, enrollment's probably already opened. So just hit that first link in the description as well as the pinned comment, and it'll take you over to that. And also, if you liked this video, I appreciate when down below dropped a like. Smash the subscribe button, click the bell for notifications so you know when all the newest content comes live. And with all that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one.